So we finally have our first bit of brand new news for MLB The Show 19, as just like about 3 or 5 minutes ago, SDS just ended the first stream that they had today, and that was the stream where they were talking about their completely overhauled defensive mechanics. And let me just say, first impressions, just by hearing and seeing what was going on, it seems so much better. You guys are going to be so excited to, hopefully test this new stuff out, see if it actually works in the game. That's the one thing. We have to keep our fingers crossed that it actually works this year. But I'm just going to go ahead and go over basically what they said and what they went over. A bunch of new different animations, and it was really freaking cool to see these guys actually put so much time and effort into this. All right. So I think the first thing they talked about during the stream was reading the balls off the wall. All right, we all know that was one of the biggest issues last year. There were multiple instances where, you've seen them in my videos, you've seen them just all over the game, where it was sometimes almost impossible to read a ball off the wall, or it took a really weird bounce and then it ended up as an inside the park home run. Well, SDS completely fixed that. So if you guys remember in the trailer, I'm not sure if I have a screenshot for this one. If so, I'll go ahead and flash it up on the screen. But for the most part, they completely redid the way it is. So if you remember in the trailer, they had a little ribbon for the defenders to read the ball off of the wall. Yeah, that's actually, so I didn't think that was going to be a part of the actual gameplay, but apparently it is going to be implemented into the game, which I think is really cool. It's going to be different for all different defenders as well. So it's if you have a guy with 90 plus fielding, he's going to be able to read the ball off the wall a lot better than a guy with say 45 or 50 or below fielding. All right. They also showed multiple instances where playing somebody out of position in the outfield, reading the ball off the wall. I think they threw Buster Posey, and they ended up throwing Buster Posey in right field, and it was basically that there was no ribbon there because, as we all know, Buster Posey does not have a secondary position in the outfield. So obviously he's not going to be able to read the ball off the wall as well as these other guys. Let's see, what else did they talk about? I think they've put either a left fielder or a right fielder in center field. It's not going to be as good, but they'll still be able to read it off the wall, which is always good news. But yeah, basically what they went for with that was that they decided to just basically try to prevent the weird bounces off the wall and inside the park home runs. Another thing that they said that I found very interesting is that they said that different kinds of or that the different wall types. So the aluminum out in the Green Monster, or if there's a brick wall, or the Ivy in Wrigley Field, it's gonna react. The ball is gonna react in different ways off of the wall with the different ones, and then you also have the obvious protected padding that most stadiums tend to have. But yeah, honestly, just hearing all of that stuff, you guys should get really excited that they completely overhauled defense, and it sounds so much better. There were multiple screenshots that I ended up capturing during the stream, and a lot of the things that they were talking about were just a bunch of different animations and a bunch of different scenarios that they just decided to completely redo, and a bunch of different issues that they saw or that we told them about, throughout the entire year. And it's honestly so good to see this kind of stuff. All right, so one of the screenshots right here, they called it, I think it's a pre-pitch catch. And I think I remember them describing it, but I don't think I can completely describe it in the exact way they did. But it was basically going into the catch before the pitch, I believe, is what they were trying to say, or it was before the ball gets to them or gets into their glove. But yeah, overall, just the way that they were looking at all of that, there were multiple defensive mechanic changes to different catch types, a bunch of double play types, there were multiple instances. One of the things that I really like to see was that when you go for a double play and you see the runner is going in for a slide for a double play, and the second baseman ends up fielding it and throwing it to the shortstop. He actually gets out of the pathway of the base runner and the shortstop. That it just looked so much nicer and so much cleaner than normal. Let's see a bunch of the other ones. There's another one. This screenshot right here, where the fielder takes a really weird back step to try and field the ball. The developer, I can't remember which dev it was, but basically what he was saying that the fielder would have to take that kind of a back step in order to get to the ball. And in this screenshot right here, he did end up getting him out at first, probably because one, it was an average runner going down to first base, and two, it was a good turnaround from the second baseman. But he ended up describing that, and then probably the biggest news that you guys are going to want to hear, aside from the exploits that I'll get to in a minute. Look at this screenshot right here. All right, the pitcher. All right, I can't tell what pitcher it is, but this was a slow tapper down the third base line. Now, we all know in MLB The Show 18, if it was a slow tapper of any kind anywhere, that is going to be either a run scored, or the runner is getting on first base. As you can see with this screenshot, it's not that way at all this year. The way the devs said it, they said they got a bunch of different animations, or recorded a bunch of different animations for this. So I guess what happened was that when they said that when the fielder would go for the ball, he would complete the catch. He would complete the catch animation, and there was no smooth transition for him to throw it home properly or throw it first properly. But you can see right here, they recorded an animation that when the pitcher gets to the ball, he will just shuffle it home, and you can try to turn a double play, and you won't get any more cheap runs. Oh my God. This is guys, this is game changing. This is so big. Again, look at another screenshot. They ended up getting all different, I think they said all different heights, all different animations for different scenarios. This one, I believe, was a tapper to the pitcher, and he ended up just shuffling it home. He ended up getting the catch or the ball in his glove and then just shuffling it home. I can't remember if that one was turned into a double play, but it was very nice. Let's see. Let me try to find another one. In this screenshot right here, Bumgarner he ended up getting it in his glove, and he ended up flipping it home, glove flipping it home to the catcher. So yeah, again, there are so many different scenarios that they ended up capturing. They ended up taking so much into account. And then in this screenshot right here, this was a tapper down to the first base line, and we all know that the pitcher, he would get this really weird animation where he would try to complete the catch and then throw the ball to first, and it'd end up being like a bang bang. He'd end up either being barely out or safe by a mile. There are new tagging animations. Let's see, and then in this one, he's tagging him with the ball in his hand rather than in the glove. Just big moves by SDS. All right, so this next screenshot, this is where they started to talk about a bunch of the different exploits that we all know about, and that SDS even knew about after us telling them, and then playing the game and whatnot. Figuring out all the things that they needed to fix, basically. But we saw this one in the trailer. The runner from first base is going to second, and I believe the runner at second was stealing third on the play. In this one, I believe the fielder is Scooter Gennett. He runs towards the runner coming down to second base, and then once he applies that tag, he immediately throws it home. We saw this one in the trailer. Honestly, I think it's gonna completely fix the game. Along with a bunch of other things. But yeah, this one, that one's a pretty big one. This other one is another big one where it is the runner is stealing third, and I think it's a ground ball to, I can't remember who, shortstop or second baseman, I think. But it gets thrown onto first base, and then once Brandon Belt catches that ball, he flips it onto home, and Starling Marte, who is actually the runner, is out by a mile. All right. Even we all know Starling Marte can run, but even a bunch of those guys probably wouldn't be able to get that kind of a run in. But yeah, again, big things. This is another one. This screenshot right here is another one of another really weird exploit that players tended to, exploit. It was you'd end up getting like a ground ball. You'd end up getting like a ground ball to the shortstop or second baseman. You had the runner on second stealing third, and then you turn a double play and you try to get that runner that was on second to try to get him home. And in this play right here, he was out by a mile once again. This screenshot right here, I know it's not. There are some screenshots that were kind of bad, I know, but I tried to do with what I could. Excuse me, but right here, this was one of those exploits that people took advantage of me for, and it really pissed me off when it happened. When you had a runner on first base and your opponent had the runner going, and you knew that your opponent was going, you had the pitch out. You decided to pitch out. You get the pitch out perfectly. You throw it to second base, and the runner ends up getting back to first base without any question. All right. The big thing here is that now when you do that, when that happens, so when the runner tries to go back to first base and you pitch out and throw to second, the runner on first base, when he's going back, will have a slip animation. All right, so he's gonna slip on the dirt. That gives your defender enough time to throw it to first base and tag the runner out at first. All right, so this is huge because I hate this. This was one of my biggest pet peeves online, was when people would send the runner, I throw a pitch out, and then last second they're like, oh, he's gonna beat that he's got Johnny Bench behind the dish. He's gonna throw me out by a mile. I'm gonna book it back to first base. That's not gonna happen anymore. He's gonna be out probably 10 times out of 10. Hopefully worst case scenario 9 times out of 10. But yeah, very very big news. This was another exploit that was in the game. Right here, this one, in this screenshot, you ended up, you had a runner, you had like a really weird, I think it was like a tapper animation or a ground ball to third base. And then you try to get your runner over from second to third. Now the first baseman will react even better. He'll catch the ball and then throw it right over to third base. So that plays a huge factor into it. But then also the runner at second is going to slip. All right. So a lot of these exploits were solved with slipping animations. All right. And honestly, I think it's obviously it's going to be for the better because now we won't have people like cheesing everywhere on the field. I think there was another animation. It was another pickoff animation. Where the runner would end up base run dancing, and you tried to throw it to first base, and then it ended up getting a really weird animation. But yeah, they ended up talking about a lot of different animations. A lot of them were actually really cool, especially this one right here, guys. This is probably one of the biggest ones yet. All right, all of them are pretty big, but this is probably one of the biggest. As you can see, Mookie Betts is reaching into the stands for a foul ball, and then he actually ended up catching it in this one. But yeah, foul ball animations are going to be even better. This one was on the run because, as we all know, whenever we went up for whenever we ended up going for like a foul ball or whatever, and it was like barely into the seats, he'd end up like overreaching it, or not even registering that it was anywhere near him. Again, this is really freaking big. because there are multiple times where it's like the guy could have caught the foul ball, but instead he ended up hitting a home run in the very next pitch. It pretty much saved the game. And then another animation that they said they ended up capturing was a medium jump catch. So we all know like the running into the wall. Sounds like the running into the wall animation is coming back. The jumping on top of the wall is coming back. So those are still intact. But they said they didn't really have like a middle ground for that. So that's basically what this animation is. Let's see, in this screenshot right here, we saw this with Max Muncy in the trailer. It was a knockdown, so there are a couple of different knockdown animations for the game this year, thank God. Basically, the reason they said they wanted to get rid of this, or the reason they put these in the game, I should say, was because they wanted to get rid of the so-called Olay catches that we all absolutely hated. This one I actually found pretty cool. This is a line drive to the first baseman. It ended up bouncing out of the first baseman's glove, and then you can see Steve Pearce, I believe that is, leaning back to avoid getting hit. Just another cool animation. They also ended up talking about different like scoop catches for first baseman. They ended up showing us 3. There might be more, but I don't know. But yeah, they just said they wanted to add a little bit more variety to the animations for that. And then that was all they talked about for the fielding side of things, what they talked about with the devs. And then they decided to go ahead and bring over Tips and Luis to talk about a brand new legend, which I will talk about in a minute. But they also talked about player regrading. All right. So I was kind of surprised that they would talk about this in this stream specifically, but I'm kind of glad they did. They said that they were going to talk about this more in depth in later streams when they talk about the regrading attributes and all of that fun stuff. But as you guys can see, in the first column, they ended up picking up 3 players. In the first column was their rating in 18, and then on the right column, what their rating will be in 19. So Grandal goes up from a 76 to a 91. All right, so that is a very big jump for Yasmani Grandal. Like they said, fielding attributes are going to be more than ever in this upcoming edition of the game. Francisco Lindor, you're probably wondering why did they throw him up here. Ramon ended up saying that the reason he's up there is even though his fielding did not change, his arm strength is going to be a lot higher than it is. I believe it is like a 70. It's really weak in this game, and I don't know why. I think it's like a 72 or a 73. It's really low, and it kind of boggled my mind that they would give him such a low arm rating for him being such a good defender. And then finally, Nick Castellanos, rest in peace. Yeah, you're probably not going to want to play the guy at like third base or anything. Maybe throw the guy in right field, because in 18 he had a 63 rating, which was which is like middle of the road. But in 19 now he's going to have a 38 rating. Wow, that is like Steve Pearce levels of bad. Like we're Frank Thomas, like we're like garbage. Like the guy is almost unusable anywhere in the field. But yeah, they talked about the player regrade, and then they finally revealed a brand new legend. That is correct. They're going to be revealing another one in the gameplay stream later on today. But yeah, they ended up throwing together a little game package. It ended up starting off with a picture or like a stirrup socks, like we've always seen the new legends come in with. It's like they're always staring at their socks. The guy had stirrups, and then we see a Boston Red Sox helmet logo, and then we see the Red Sox jersey and a right-handed hitter, and then he swings the bat, and we reveal number 3. That is correct. Jimmy Fox, the legendary first baseman, one of the greatest power hitters of all time, is making his way into MLB The Show 19. I am very excited. This is honestly a great legend to kick off, revealing a whole slew of legends. And Luis or Tips, one of the two, ended up saying that they're releasing more than 30 legends this year. All right, they said it is the most that they have ever had, the most that they've ever had in an MLB The Show game. They didn't give us an exact number. They just said more than 30. I believe last year they ended up giving us 30 brand new legends, but this year, we could be expecting 40, 50, 60. There are so many different guys that they could end up revealing. But yeah, basically they're going to be revealing a bunch of new legends throughout all the rest of these streams. They said maybe two or even more in some of them. But yeah, Jimmy Fox, brand new legend in MLB The Show 19. I'm glad that they're getting a bunch of the dead ball era guys or the early 1900s, 20s and 30s guys. I like personally playing with those guys. But yeah, very, very big signing for SDS. And I believe that is going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel for my recap about the hitting engine stream and the whole, talking about all of that stuff. But yeah, that's all they talked about in this past stream. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with MLB The Show 19 news and content. I will see you guys in the next one.